Who are you?
I am the god of thunder!
My head's so Thor I can't even think straight. A Thor here, a Thor there. With the amount of Thors that exist in Marvel Comics, they could probably start their own universe of only Thors.
Slow down a little bit. There's a few people in the room that don't understand.
So many characters have been able to lift that magic test of will and worthiness, and been granted with untold godly amounts of power.
Oh!
Some are characters we know and love, and others have names like Dargo Ktor.
Tell me his name again.
It's about to be a super wild ride as we explore all the powerful versions of Thor we have yet to see on screen. Let's dive in right now.
Zombies, great idea. Love zombies.
It's not them.
Perhaps the most popular alternate version of Thor, who we have yet to see, though he has been hinted at in statue form, is Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill is a fan-favorite alien of the Corbinite race, meaning he has a horse face. One day he came to square off with the God of Thunder, and in the skirmish, to Thor's surprise, this random alien from nowhere picked up Mjolnir and used it against him. Odin was so impressed with this feat that he had Thor and Beta Ray Bill duel for the right to be the God of Thunder. One of Odin's many great parenting tips. After a draw, Odin gifted Beta Ray Bill with his own hammer in the form of Stormbreaker, making him a certified God of Thunder and Thor. Overall, Beta Ray Bill is a wildly powerful version of Thor, who fans have been clamoring for. So I think it's about time this former champion of Sakaar show his horse face to the world. One of, if not the most powerful versions of Thor goes by the name of Old King Thor. This is a Thor variant from the distant future, where he did succeed his father in taking over the throne of Asgard. Battle-hardened by years of conquest, Old King Thor wields not only Mjolnir, but the Odin sword as well. Most importantly, this version of Thor wields what used to be called the Odin Force, now more appropriately named the Thor Force. Overall, Old King Thor is a wise and brilliant leader, who has aged like a fine wine. This Thor even once was seen mastering control over the Phoenix Force. Basically, if Thor is ever in a pickle, he should quickly grab America Chavez and have her punch a hole to wherever this guy is chilling to bring him into the fight. Once upon a time, Eric Masterson and Thor were sharing the same body, wielding Mjolnir and fighting crime together, with two minds being greater than one. As you can imagine, there's not really a whole lot of leg space, so eventually they separated, with Eric Masterson still proving himself worthy to wield the powers of the God of Thunder. Instead of a hammer, Eric was given a mace by the name of Thunderstrike, and took on that name for his superhero alter ego. Eric's son even eventually took over his mantle after his death, but Thunderstrike is one of the most notable alternate versions of Thor, who has taken part in several popular Avengers stories. He can't quite match Thor, but he sure can come close. At the end of the day, I wouldn't want to get hit by a big metal stick called Thunderstrike, would you? The mutant Storm is a member of the X-Men, a queen of Wakanda, and for a brief time was granted powers as the Goddess of Thunder. Storm's journey to becoming this powerful being started with a plan from Loki that definitely did not work out in his favor. He created a hammer called Stormcaster, specifically made for the mutant herself as part of his scheme to discredit his brother. Storm, being of strong will, was able to resist these gifts and thwart his plan. Sometime later, Stormcaster lay dormant in Asgard, until presenting itself to Storm, once again granting her the powers of the Goddess of Thunder. On top of her already powerful arsenal of abilities like weather manipulation, expert combatant skills, and flight, being granted the strength and endurance of such a being worthy of Stormcaster makes her one of the most powerful Thors on this list. For years, people have wondered, who would win in a fight, Thor or Superman? I say, why fight? Make love, not war. And of course, by love, I mean an amalgamation of two of the most powerful characters in all of comics, so that thing can go now and make war. Superman has combined with several characters, including Captain America, but perhaps none were more powerful than his combination with the God of Thunder. The combined physiques of Asgardian and Kryptonian bodies make for one of the most durable heroes to exist. With the powers of Superman including supersonic flight and laser vision, as well as Thor's manipulation of thunder, Thor-El is one of the most powerful versions of Thor we may never see. We're all just sitting here hoping Warner Brothers will answer Kevin Feige's phone calls. War Thor is perhaps my favorite version of the God of Thunder, and another example of someone close to Thor becoming worthy, with a huge asterisk by the word worthy, of course. Volstagg is perhaps the most powerful member of the Warriors 3, an Asgardian unit comprised of Thor's friends and allies. One day, an alternate universe devoid of life had its Mjolnir call out through the multiverse, only to be heard by Volstagg. He stepped through a portal and lifted the mighty weapon, transforming himself into War Thor. War Thor is a powerful character, but he's really the Punisher of the Thor world. His justice is so cruel and brutal that Jane Foster even needed to step in to basically calm him down. Volstagg of the MCU may be gone for now, but anything is possible with people like Eternity out there just granting wishes willy-nilly. On Earth 616, the Black Winter hunted down Galactus, chasing him all the way to Asgard where he found Thor and made him the Herald of Thunder. Imbued with the power cosmic, Thor and Galactus fought the Black Winter together, but to no avail. Even Thor's strongest moves could not touch the entity. Eventually, the Black Winter killed Galactus, and in a last-ditch effort, Thor, the Herald of Thunder, used Galactus' body as a bomb to finally defeat the multiversal cosmic being. The Herald of Thunder is one of the most powerful versions of Thor, with one of the strongest forces in his pocket. Galactus' heralds have always been a unique concept to me, and should the giant villain appear in the MCU, Thor would be a prime candidate for him to choose as one of the most powerful beings in the universe. With the MCU's exploration of the multiverse and the recent announcement of the Multiverse Saga, it's safe to say in the coming phases we will be exploring some popular alternate universes from the comics. One that everyone is waiting for is the popular Ultimate Universe. This version has small alterations to just about every character in the main Marvel timeline. Ultimate Thor is one of the most powerful versions of Thor, who wielded a giant axe long before the MCU's version did. This version of Thor has incredible manipulation over thunder, and basically always has it glowing through his body. Ultimate Thor is recognizable to just about every comic reader, and his appearance, even if only briefly in some kind of Thor core on Doctor Strange's next trip through the multiverse, would be a fan favorite moment for sure. In one amalgam storyline, two of Earth's mightiest heroes became one, as Thor merged with none other than Tony Stark, better known as Iron Man. The two together formed a hero known as the Iron Hammer. After the creation of Warp World, these two had their souls merged and found themselves possessing the powers of each other, making this one being a very powerful force to deal with. He wore a version of the Iron Man armor with some Asgardian touches. Instead of a handheld tool, Mjolnir sits atop a long staff, making it appear more like an old sledgehammer. This is definitely a nod to Tony's blacksmithing in order to escape a cave of terrorists. The suit is self-charging thanks to the manipulation of lightning, and overall it's a terrifying hero for any villain to look at, never mind having to fight against. Stop me if you've heard this one before. A genius hero and leader of an incredible superhero team goes behind the backs of his teammates and creates an incredibly strong robot capable of rivaling the world's strongest hero. That robot then eventually goes rogue and becomes one of the toughest villains for the heroes to defeat. Who the heck is Ultron? I'm talking about Ragnarok, of course. And no, not the end of Asgard, but instead the robot Thor clone created by Reed Richards and Tony Stark to use as a secret weapon during Marvel's Civil War. This robot is capable of matching power with Thor, including his entire power set. This evil robot is a destructive force that has even taken the lives of heroes, and forces Thor to stare into a face he knows all too well in order to defeat a powerful foe and version of himself. The Destroyer armor is a powerful piece of weaponry, and in 2011's Thor, it leveled a town in search of the God of Thunder. It is deemed worthy by Odin to be the last defense of his greatest treasures, and has once even been worn by him to battle a group of Celestials. This armor in the comics once became a shell for Thor. His soul was without a body, and it found its way into this incredibly powerful weapon, making the Destroyer armor a powerful God of Thunder. While inhabiting this armor, that now had its own cape and feathers, Thor was able to use all his regular powers plus the concussive blast that the Destroyer is known for. Thor may have destroyed it, but I don't see why Valkyrie can't have it rebuilt in New Asgard to one day wield the hammer. Reverend Cecil McAdam is not the most powerful Thor, or the best dressed by a long shot, but in the year 2099 several different heroes got futuristic upgrades. Reverend McAdam of the Church of Thor is a special kind of God of Thunder, in that most others had to prove themselves worthy, while Cecil was chosen to be part of an experiment by the futuristic company Alchemax. They had begun missions to turn normal humans into the gods of old. While a version of Captain America in this time period wields the actual Mjolnir, Cecil was given a version of Mjolnir by Alchemax, and chemically turned into the God of Thunder, with all the powers of Thor, just granted through science and not magic. Ultimately, Alchemax considered the experiments that created Thor 2099 a failure, but we've still got a Reverend with a giant arrow on his chest flying around and hitting stuff with a magical hammer. Another alternate universe known to many Marvel fans is the Cancerverse. This is a gross, corrupted reality where death was vanquished, and people started growing claws out of their face. In this reality, Thor was a leader of the Avengers, but after the many-angled ones corrupted the universe, he and his fellow superheroes fell under the service of Lord Marvel, the original Marvel. The team then did a quick rebranding and called themselves the Revengers. This Thor has a similar power set to the regular one, only he is much more terrifying to look at. He was slain when he and the Revengers tried to corrupt the normal 616 timeline as well. I can't see Revenger Thor playing a large part in any upcoming Marvel projects, but a quick peek into the Cancerverse is enough to give anyone nightmares. This one may surprise you, but if you go back and sift through the What If series, you'll find that Thor was actually not present during the apocalyptic zombie invasion. This means he's one of only a few heroes who we actually haven't seen in zombie form. Thor as a zombie is one of the most deadly of his kind. At the beginning of his undead life, he was even still able to wield Mjolnir, making anyone he wanted his next meal. Eventually, however, you'd be shocked to learn that eating people kinda makes you lose your worthy card, and zombie Thor lost the ability to wield the hammer, and instead made one out of a pipe and a cinder block. Even this undead, unworthy version of the God of Thunder is one of the most powerful zombies in the Horde. Dargo Ktor comes from Earth 8710, and though he was reluctant at first, he too took on the role of Thor. When his oppressed people found Mjolnir embedded in rock, they hoped one of them would prove to be worthy of carrying it and setting them all free. Dargo proved to be just that. He wielded the hammer and transformed into the once and future God of Thunder. Dargo has all the powers of Thor, plus a little more. He can not only control lightning, but actually has some level of control over the weather in general. He has many battles with Thor's half-brother Loki, a futuristic techno-sorcerer, and proves time and time again to be a true champion of Midgard. If you thought Thor was jealous at all of Star-Lord, just wait until he gets a load of this guy. The Venom symbiote has bonded with multiple characters in the Marvel Universe. The story of Venom Thor starts in a what-if issue of the series. After killing its host, Peter Parker, the Venom symbiote found its way to Hulk, which was an incredibly powerful combination. However, it was no match for Thor. Thor took down Bruce Banner after the Venom symbiote bonded with him. This being a part of Venom's plan, he let go of Bruce and attached himself to one of the most powerful beings in the universe, the God of Thunder. With the combined powers of Thor and Venom, Doctor Strange, the Fantastic Four, and even Captain Marvel had no effect on the deadly combination. Venom Thor's powers include those of the God of Thunder, as well as energy absorption through Mjolnir. It was not until Black Bolt was summoned to beat this abomination that Venom Thor's continued weakness of sensitivity to sound was exploited. Roger Norvell was a red-headed videographer working on a documentary about the real-life Norse gods. Roger fell under the manipulation tactics of Loki, who promised him love and power if he would only serve him. Loki, defeated by Thor and Sif, acted through Roger, who gained access to Thor's magical belt and iron gloves. These two artifacts transformed Roger into Red Norvell, worthy of the powers of Thor and capable of wielding his weapons. He even challenged Thor and beat him, gaining Mjolnir as a prize. Red Norvell became Odin's go-to Thor, and was even able to defeat the powerful Midgard serpent. He was a very unlikely Thor, and went about it in shifty ways at best, but Red Norvell is perhaps the most powerful person Loki ever created. Storm is not the only member of the X-Men to have lifted the mighty weapon and taken on the role of the Goddess of Thunder. In a what-if story, Anna Marie, better known as Rogue, was the latest to become technically worthy, though I wouldn't call it fair. During a fight between the Avengers and the Brotherhood of Mutants, Rogue used her power to completely absorb the life force and powers of Thor, to the point of the Prince of Asgard's death. She then even killed several of the people in the fight around her due to her inexperience with her newly acquired powers. Even with this inexperience, Rogue is perhaps one of the most powerful versions of Thor, as in this story she not only possesses Thor's power and her own, but Carol Danvers and Steve Rogers as well. Talk about a powerhouse. Thrr is probably the most powerful warrior in all of Arfgard, and is probably just the goodest boy you'll ever meet. That's right, in the same universe that houses Peter Porker, better known as Spider-Ham, Thor is a dog named Thrr. He spends most of his time chasing his tail, but also battles some of the most powerful dog catchers of the universe. Though he is a dog, he still stands upright and wields Mjolnir as a powerful dog of thunder. The Looney Tunes style world he lives in gives him additional powers and abilities, like taking pain in a cartoonish amount of style. Overall, Thrr is probably the greatest companion you could ask for, and the mailman will literally never bother you again. Trust me when I say there is more than just Thor-El that makes us want Warner Brothers to return the phone calls of one Kevin Feige. There are several characters who are worthy of wielding the weapons of the God of Thunder, and some of them exist in universes owned by completely different publishers. It should come as no surprise that Diana, Princess of Themyscira, better known as Wonder Woman, proved herself worthy when these two worlds crossed over. In Marvel vs. DC, Wonder Woman came across the discarded hammer and lifted it with ease, perhaps not even knowing the significance. On top of her already incredible powers, she also gained the powers of the Goddess of Thunder, basically cementing herself instantly as one of the most powerful characters to hold the title of Thor. The amount of Thors in the multiverse is unbelievable, and when all it takes to be called a Thor is to lift a hammer, just about anyone can hold the mantle. Which version of Thor that we haven't seen yet do you think is the most powerful?